Ben Crane, welcome to the call room, Road to Balboa. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be on here.
Cloud nine after this past weekend.
Yeah, I've been on cloud nine. It was super exciting. I don't know if you see my face right before the line, but there's like a clip from Runner Space that like it shows like the final shoot, and like my face kind of lights up with like 10 meters to go.
We're in this interesting period, and you being from the Midwest are in this interesting period where you had NXR, and then you have a week off, and then you'll have Foot Locker Midwest, and then it'll go NXN Foot Locker. A lot of kids don't have this kind of in between week. For you, what does training look like this week, and how much of it is celebrating last weekend while also being focused on next weekend?
Yeah, so I celebrated after the race just on Sunday, and then I had to get straight back to work on Monday. I I'm fortunate to live really close to the regional course, so it's like a 30-minute drive. So I'm a run the course a few times next week because I have school off due to Thanksgiving, and I'll do a workout there this weekend, and then Monday and Tuesday next week I'm going to go up there just to because they changed the course a little bit this year just to
Oh, did
understand it
they?
a little more. Yeah,
The one in Kenosha?
yeah.
Really? What's the tangible difference, if you know, this year
I
compared to
remember
other
we
years?
we ran down the big hill last year because I think it was a little muddy in the back, but now we go a different way down the hill.
I've heard from people on this podcast series as well as last year when I did this series. They say the Kenosha course debatably is the hardest of the four. I know Mount Sack's really hard, but that's like an odd course. That's a
Yeah,
California course for you. What's your take on Kenosha? How hard is it?
I think I think if you know how to run it, it can be like it's not a walk in the park, but it can be manageable. But if like you're showing up to it and it's your first time on the course when you're racing, it's a little bit daunting, especially with the hill at the start. You have like 0.3 miles and then you have a massive hill. I think it's like almost a quarter mile, and so it's. But once you get up the hill, I think it's pretty smooth sailing, and you just have to attack the hills, and then it'll help set you up for success.
Harder or easier than Balboa Park, would you say?
It's easier than Balboa Park. Balboa Park is
Really?
the hardest course I've ever ran.
Really?
That
Maybe we'll
hill,
get into that later on. You really think the hill's that hard?
it's it's more the hill on the hill on the first time. It feels like you can just groove up it. Everyone slows down a little bit, so it's manageable. But the hill on the second time, when you get to the top of that hill, you were like, it is just pure pain. But it's
How, Kenosha, though, the hill's longer, right?
yeah,
Balboa's
but
pretty short, right?
yeah, Balboa Park the hill is shorter, but Kenosha you have a longer hill, and it's not as steep. But it teases you because you like go up a first hill, and then you have like 0.1 miles of flat, and then you have to go up an even steeper hill.
So it's more the placement of where the hill is in Balboa Park, the second loop, that you're already dead going up to it, whereas
Yeah,
Kenosha, you're a little more fresh.
yeah.
In training, whether it's Balboa Park or the course in Kenosha, which I do not know the name of, admittingly, how are you training for hills? And is that something you're incorporating into your training, especially if you look at Foot Locker in the past few years? A lot of the winners seem to have won because of big moves made on the downhill or uphill, but a lot of like Reed Brown had the famous downhill push.
Yeah.
Are you doing strides downhill? Like what's your preparation like for hilly courses?
Yeah, so matter of fact, last year before the race, I did a workout which was we went up to Kenosha. It was in between the week. It was the week between Kenosha. There's like a week break in between Kenosha and Balboa Park. And so me and my coach we went up there for a week for like on the weekend, and we just practiced running down hills cuz a lot that happens is people are really good down the hill, but they use a lot of energy going into the last straightaway. Well, you need a lot of energy going to last straightaway, but people put a lot of energy into running down the hill really fast. And so our goal is just to cruise down the hill and then catch people in the last straightaway. So this year we're not as focused on running down the hill.
Starting next week, it'll be the 3 week push towards nationals, Foot Locker, Midwest, NXN, and then Foot Locker. And as I mentioned a minute ago, you had NXR this past week. So this is kind of the in between week. What does training look like this week? Is it still hitting it hard, hammering, getting some extra fitness, or is it more like letting the body rest and recover? Take me through this week of training.
This week it's a work week. It's the last work week I think I'll have before like I start to taper because I didn't really taper for like my state meet or NXR that much because my focus going into the season was actually Foot Locker, and so NXR was just like a I'll run NXR if I qualify. I qualify. I wasn't really expecting to win, but this week we're back up to high mileage. I'll do a week of. Last week I came down a little bit, so to even it out a little bit, my coach does 2-week microcycles, so I'll go back up to. I'll probably end up running 70 miles this week, and then it'll be a steady taper down towards December 14th.
Higher mileage guy, what's the progress and like take me through over the past few years how you've gotten up to 70 miles a week.
Yeah, so as a freshman, I was running pretty low mileage, maybe 20, 25 miles a week. And then my coach realized I had a knack for running. And so we, my freshman track seasons when like I actually started tracking my mileage. And so I was at 35 miles a week all of freshman year track, and then cross country sophomore year is when I saw big improvement in my times. And so I moved up to 40 miles a week. And then sophomore track, I moved up to 50. And then junior year, I was at 60. And then the goal for junior year track was to be at 65 miles a week. But I unfortunately had mono during track, so mileage came down. But then in the summer, we just made the push. We'll go to 70. We'll see how I feel. And I felt great, so we just maintained it.
How much do you feel like your strength on the cross country course comes from these big 65, 70-mile weeks over the past few months?
I think it helps me a lot because like sometimes you're just feeling a little beat up and you have to like push through a run. Like I have some days where going out on that double, my legs are super tight, but I feel like it helps like build like emotional control and resilience just because you have to push through that, and that's the same thing you have to push through on the course.
When you're putting in those weeks of work in June, July, it's all geared towards these 4 weeks. Specifically, you mentioned the focus being Foot Locker coming into this season when you sat down and were thinking about the season and your goals. How special does it feel to be in this final week stretch of like, okay, this is why I worked so hard in June, July. This is why I do those doubles on tired legs.
Yeah, it is really rewarding. It's because I can, especially last weekend is the first weekend I felt it. Like I feel fit now. I don't feel like exhausted going into races, and like I can enjoy running a little more. The first few weeks were just the first couple of races of the season too. Where yes, I'd race, but then I'd maybe do like a light workout afterwards and be getting straight back to work. But now since I've put in all that work, I get to reap some of the benefits, which is really nice.
Light workouts after races. This man's work ethic is crazy. Take me through one of those. What is, early season race, you race 5K. Take me through the workout after the cool down, total mileage on the day.
So I get high mileage on race days, so it'll be maybe a 14 or 15 mile day, but I usually do like have like 3 miles in work before the race, and then it's basically 3 miles during the race, and then afterwards I do it's anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes of just jogging, and then I do like a mono fartlek, but it's basically just sets of 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off 4 times, then you go down 30 seconds each time.
And then how long is the cool down after that? Just till
It's
you hit
wherever I
14 or 15?
get back to camp.
When you get home after those bus rides, how tired are the legs?
Uh, the legs aren't actually what's more tired. It's more just like my social energy and just like being
Mm.
at a meet all day and doing that workout. I'm just like, I'll go sit at home and maybe I'll hang out with my friends in the afternoon, but I want to play a few video games and just like chill.
I'm sure when you're running those early season meets, like you're that guy, the freshman and JV squads are like looking at you as like the local hero. Cause you like even last year, making Foot Locker, like you're that
Yeah.
guy, like you're a cool guy in the community. They, I'm sure, run their race with their little, mile up, mile down, and I'm sure they're done for the day and screwing around at their team tent. Do you get comments from other teams or other athletes where it's like, man, you're making us feel soft. You're running 14, 15 miles this day. You're doing a workout after you just kicked our butts in the race. Do you get any comments from other people at the event? Like, oh, there goes Ben doing his fartlek.
Yeah. Sometimes I do get comments from guys, but I, I'm like friends with a lot of the local runners. We're all like, we're buddies. We play cards sometimes together. So we're all just, sometimes they'll give me like a heartless chirp. They'll be like, "Oh, this guy's doing that again," or but it's all just fun and games.
How much confidence do you get from this type of preparation and the work ethic that you've clearly, displayed over this past year, but also the 4 years to get to this point?
Yeah, I think it gives me a lot of confidence, especially I like one of my biggest confidence builders of all time of high school was last year at my conference meet. It was it was like pouring down rain and it was super muddied. I think it was one of the muddiest conference meets we'd had. And I think this is kind of what helped me make Foot Locker last year. I did a 4 by mile workout because I didn't go 100% for the race. I went maybe like 85%, but I did a 4 by mile workout, and it was the miles were not that fast. They were maybe 5:15, but like me being able to do those miles after the almost like the race effort, it was just that really opened my mind to see like what I'm capable of.
Let me get this right. You raced conference and then you did 4 by mile on the course while it was crazy muddy,
I did on a track. I did not run on the course. It
but you
was
raced and then did 4 by mile.
yeah,
Crazy. So crazy. Okay, let me ask you this. So I've asked other kids on this series this question. How do you balance comparison? You're probably the type of guy they're comparing themselves to because you're probably in the upper echelon of working hard. But how do you focus on what you're doing and not too focused on what other people are doing? Because even like Manny Puts, who I had on this series, he's a super low mileage guy, incredible in his own right, one of the
yeah.
top guys in the country. And it's cool to see that different paths lead to different success. But how do you balance comparison in the age of social media?
Yeah, so I like mentally I tell myself like everyone's working harder than me, and that gives me motivation to be like, "Oh, I got to one up my own self just so I can mentally tell myself I'm outworking people cuz I feel like outworking people is what gives me confidence on the course." And so if it's whether it's having the choice between doing a mile cooldown and a 2 mile cooldown, just making sure I always get that extra mile. And then when it comes to like seeing people run fast times, like it was a little worrisome in the beginning of the season where I saw people drop in 13:30s at Woodbridge, and I ran a minute slower than that on our state meet course, which is considered a fast course. But I use that as motivation to fuel me to help me run faster.
Take me through, if you're comfortable doing so, like a Sunday through Saturday or whatever your week structure looks like in training. Like whatever you count as a week, Monday through Sunday, Sunday through
Yeah.
Saturday, and each specific day.
So I do Monday through Sunday, and I typically would have I typically on Monday go for a not like a longer recovery run, so upwards of 70 minutes, 60 to 70 minutes, and then Tuesday would be our quality session of the week, and so I double in the morning, and then I come back and do the workout in the afternoon, and then Wednesdays were like we call them true recovery days, so it's purely for time, mileage doesn't really matter, and then Thursday would be another quality day, and then I'd go in if I was racing that weekend, I'd do pre-meet on Friday. If I wasn't, it'd be another just recovery run. And then if I'm racing, I'd go race on Saturday, plus maybe a workout afterwards. Or if it's not a race week, I do a long run. And then Sunday is just mileage top off.
Workout after NXR question mark or no?
No, I was kind of cooked after NXR. It is such a hard course. Like it feels fast and it's people run fast there, but it like kills you.
You mentioned a minute ago how fast kids were running in Woodbridge, and something that happens every single year is you're going to have those examples of kids running out of their mind to start the season, and then they'll taper off as the season goes on. And then on the opposite spectrum, you'll have kids that I think you maybe are fit in this box where they're training really hard early season, legs are heavy. Early season meets are more check the box, and then really as the end of the season starts to approach, they start picking it up. The results start happening. What was the conversation like between you and your coach in terms of like, these are the four, or these are December 14th is really the only date that matters. Like, how do we get it right on that day?
So we sat down before school started this year and we were like we made a list of all the meets we would run, and we were like, does this meet matter in the grand scheme of things? And so if the meet mattered, we'd race it all out. If it was like a semi important meet, we'd go. If I need to score low, I'd run with the guys and then try to outkick them at the end. And then some meets that are like fast meets, but like in the grand scheme of things, they don't really help the team or help me. I just pulled out of them, and so it shocked a few people in our community that like I wasn't running a couple of the meets we went to, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm feeling fresh. I only have 7 races in my legs versus at this time last year I probably had 10, and so I think we paced out my racing more.
You mentioned you do those Tuesday, Thursday quality days. What's a workout you dread and a workout you love?
I dread Ks a little bit. Not gonna lie, they're like a harder version of an 800 because I feel like you always do 800s and Ks at similar paces, but the K is just you have to hold on for 200 more meters, and so sometimes you have to do those Ks alone. It can be a hard last 200 meters, and then
What's a workout you love?
I love this workout. I like thresholds, so 4 or 5 mile threshold. Those are my jam. Just lock in for 20 minutes. The runner's high after one of those workouts, and you see how much distance you covered in how little of time. It's just like it puts you on. It feels like you just won a race.
Absolute aerobic monster right here. What do you feel like has been the toughest period of this season in terms of like mentally, doubt or um, unmotivation, whatever you might call it, and how'd you overcome those feelings?
Yeah, so I'd say the toughest part for me was I had a lot of pre-race nerves going into our state meet, and it actually it was kind of like making me like really kind of dread running for a week, and so like our race plan all season and what we've been talking about for the last year was built around me being up in the front of the pack of the state meet, and then our team trying to be within 70 seconds of me, give or take, and so just me, my mind would race and I'd be like worried, what if I'm not in the front? Like the team's kind of relying on me to do this, and so that created a lot of like anxiety within me, and so that made it challenging.
How'd you overcome those feelings? Were they conversations with parents, coach, teammates? How'd you get on the other side? Ultimately, you won the meet, so you did something right.
Yeah, it took until 15 minutes before my warm up to finally get over the nerves. I get out of the bus at the state meet, and like being at the course, you get like the pre race nerves even more. And I started like dry heaving a little bit, and I was like, oh no, this is not good. And so my mind started racing even more. But then I went for a half mile to just like clear my mind and help me like loosen up, and then it kind of I talked to my coach a little bit, and he's like, you can have a good day, a great day, or the best day, and no matter what day you have, you'll be successful. So I just kind of thought about that, and that helped me lock in for the race.
You live in the great state of Illinois. So many amazing runners have come from this state, specifically when we're talking in the context of the Foot Locker Cross Country
Yeah,
National Championships. Dylan Jacobs and Josh Methner, recent winners, both come from that state. Both raced on at Detweiler Park, which is where you raced this year at States. States happens there every year, if I'm not mistaken. Very
yeah.
historic course. I went in July for the first time. I thought it was absolutely sick. What's it like adding and cementing your legacy among some of the greats, both in terms of winning a state title, what that means to you, as well as you look towards the postseason, you look at a guy like Josh or Dylan who just won, and you think like, let me add some legacy to the state here.
It's it's pretty cool. I My time was pretty quick, so I got put in the top 15 of all time for Illinois state meet times, and so kind of seeing my name, I'm like seeing my name up there with like all the greats that have ran in Illinois. It's kind of surreal. Just like me, I would not compare myself to them. I feel like I'm still just some high school runner, but like there's some like super impressive names up there, and it's just like cool to see myself with next to them.
Let's go back in time, Ben, and give some context to the runner you are today. So take me through your start in the sport of running and what your first impressions of the sport were.
Yeah, so some guy from my church when I lived in, he was doing an Eagle Scout project, and I was living in New Jersey back in the time. I was 7 or 8, and he hosted a 5K, like a township 5K, and I ended up winning my age group, and so that was super exciting. And so I was like, I might have a knack for running, and then I continued running a little bit, like I just do like a turkey trot or like a Fourth of July fun run, and then fast forward a few years, this was probably in second or third grade, and then fast forward to my middle school, I picked up cross country again, and I started running the sport actually in sixth grade, and I had I was living in Europe actually. My dad took a job in the Netherlands, so I joined the international. We went to an international school, and I was on the running team there, and I had minor success. Like I won our conference meet I won one of the 2 years, and so I was like, dang, this is something I'm good at. When other sports like basketball or soccer, which I also played, I wasn't the best at, but running was something I could excel in. So then freshman year rolled around, I signed up for the cross country team, and I've been improving ever since.
Multiple countries. This is unique. This is interesting. Do you ever see yourself dual citizenship somewhere representing another country? And do you like being back in America?
I like being back. I want to represent America. Like they're the powerhouse of running. I feel like right now, or one of.
Was there a moment in that journey you just mentioned and told me about that you realized, oh, wow, I can do great things in the sport? And running is not just something like basketball or soccer where I do it and participate in it, but it's actually something that I can be world class at.
Yeah. So we have the league is called like NESIS. It's like Northern Europe Conference of International Schools. It's something like that. It's a synonym or not acronym. But I my seventh grade year, I was in the seventh and eighth grade division, and I went out and won that conference meet, and it was just like it was kind of surreal because when I was the oldest in the sixth and seventh grade division, I was like sixth or something, maybe fifth, and so to go out the next year and win it was just like, dang, this is pretty cool. It feels good to win a race, and then it kind of just it sparked something in me and I've been running ever since.
I'm curious to hear more about your coach. Can you tell me about him and the team this year and what's it been like to, I'm sure, be one of the most successful athletes in school history and kind of leave your legacy with this program as you're now a senior in high school?
Yeah, actually, matter of fact, my school has we've had like 300 something state champions across all
Wow.
sports. So it's cool, but like it's a norm for my high school to have in some sport, which
To
is
have a Ben Crane.
yeah. And so I think actually last year they did a Max Prep did like a an award for like most athletic school, and my school won it for the fall.
Wow.
That is, there are a
Jeez.
lot of people that have won state at my high school, but I'm one of a couple to win running cross country state though, which is pretty cool.
Tell me about the program this year, being a
Yeah,
senior on it, and your coach, and how long he's been there, what your relationship with him has been like, and your mindset with him going into the final few weeks of the season.
yeah. So I love my coach. He's an amazing coach. He's been my first year with him was his second year of coaching in high school. He'd been an assistant coach, but it was his second year as the head coach, and he he had a guy named Nick Falk who ended up he's at Duke right now. He made Foot Locker Nationals actually, and so he knew how to coach really well, and so he was able to help develop me and help also develop our team. We were really deep this year. We had unfortunately we're all seniors this year, so hopefully the team will be good next year. But we have a lot. Our team is either really old or really young. We don't really have many juniors or sophomores, and so but we were sixth at our state meet. We wanted a little better. We wanted podium. We had our school has not podiumed at the state meet since like 1962, and this was kind of our year. But Illinois, there were so many good teams this year. We went out and competed, and we were 23 points shy of podium, but it was it was really special. Being I started all the guys on the team started running freshman year. We've been running together ever since. So it's seeing the guys progress over the years has been really cool, and to see that we were once like some freshmen just did running because it like seemed like a just like a fun activity. Not really many of the guys were joking around. They didn't really see it as a real sport. They're freshmen. It's like something to do, and then everyone like grew a passion for running, and we've all developed into to a team that gets sixth at state.
Speaking of that core group of guys that you started running with as freshmen, how many are continuing their season? And if not, do you have any training buddies over the next 3 weeks to push you in workouts and easy runs?
Yeah, so unfortunately, all the guys they stopped after NXR. Our team was 13th at NXR, I think, so pretty solid. Uh, we're they're all taking 2 week breaks, and so they'll probably start running with me again after Foot Locker regionals. But it's been a lot of lonely miles this week, and so I've been usually I don't listen to music on my runs, but it's the weather's been kind of bad lately, so I've been running on the treadmill inside, and so I've been listening to some music, and so that's been making the runs go by.
What's the go-to, like, top 3 favorite artists or songs at the moment?
Like the Hot to Go song. I don't know why. I know people think it's so repetitive, but that Chaperone song, when it comes on in the treadmill, I just like those 3 minutes or whatever just go by like so fast. And I don't even like the song's good. It's not great, but it helps make the run move along. But besides that, I kind of just turn on the chill mix on Spotify and just listen to that on the treadmill.
Talking about Foot Locker specifically, your experience there last year, I believe you placed 24th, if I'm not mistaken, as a junior. Take me through the decision to ultimately come back and some of the lessons and learnings you learned from last year that you're implementing into your second experience this year.
Yeah, so last year it was such an incredible experience. It's been my most favorite experience from high school. And last year I had a taper at the regional meet to make the meet. So like going into the race, I was trying to come out of a taper, and so like legs felt a little off, and so I think 24th was really good, and it was better than I expected, but I wasn't feeling the best. So I think going there this year, being in the shape that I am right now, and just competing, I think I could have a shot to be competitive. And
What would a win mean to you? Obviously, I'm sure you've dreamt about that, thought about it,
yeah,
you even just smiled there as I mentioned it. What are your thoughts on that being even a 1% reality and putting yourself in position to make that dream become a reality?
it would be awesome. Like just thinking about like what it means to win there, and like the history of the meet there. I was I was given a My coach had a paper, and it had like all the winners, but then it also attached to the back he had like this old magazine about Matt Withrow when I think it was Foot Locker when he won it back in I don't know.
Some
I
year
don't know.
back in the day.
Yeah, and it like talked about his like why he went there, and a little bit about like what he did to make it, and like how it felt when he won it. It was just super cool.
Before closing out this conversation, I do want to hear about committing to run for BYU. Take me through that decision, what made the school stand out, and maybe hot takes for the team ahead of this episode will come out after the national championships. But
Yeah.
I think they're ranked number one going into the Natties tomorrow. What are your
I'm
thoughts
going
on
up to
that?
watch. It's a 2 hour drive, so I'm making the trek out there to support them.
Heck yeah.
I hope they
Heck yeah.
win. I want them to win. I'm gonna be
Take me
wearing all
through
the
the
BYU gear.
decision.
Yeah, so I'd wanted to like BYU was I think so. Uh, I had wanted to run at BYU since I was younger. I went to one of their running camps back in like 2019. It was like when I was doing middle school cross country, and it was right after Clayton Young won the 10K at NCAA's, and so they were like it just seemed so cool, and to see like someone complete that feat, it was just like I want to be like him. And then I think that's also what happened to motivate me to run fast times. Is BYU is such a fast school, and they have a rich history of good running, and so it's really competitive to run there. And so I think having those such high standards I was trying to reach for kind of helped progress me as a runner and helped me develop. And so I worked hard, and now I'm achieved my goal, and I get to go run there, which I'm really excited about.
How full circle is that moment of thinking back to your middle school self where the love and passion for BYU began and now ultimately being one of the top recruits out of the country and going there?
It feels so surreal. Like it's such a weird feeling just thinking about like it's something I've dreamt about for like I don't know 5 years now, and to actually achieve it. And when like I was looking at a couple other schools, and I didn't think I'd have the opportunity to run at BYU, so I was looking at a couple other schools like really heavily, and then I got the call from Ed Eyestone saying that they might have a spot for me, and it just like it was just like a euphoric feeling. It was so cool. It was awesome.
Ben, final serious question for you. For those who have listened to our conversation today, what would be the final takeaway message that you want someone to walk away with?
I mean, I want people to walk away with like that I've worked hard, and that I'm excited to go run at Balboa Park, and it's just like such an amazing course to run at with deep history, and I want to cement my name as one of not only the greats from Illinois, but a great runner overall. And I'm excited to race against some of the top guys in the nation. I know Juan Gonzalez and Benji Anderson are both looking at that meet, and they both beat me last year, and so I'm excited to race them again.
Round two, baby. Round two.
Yeah.
Final question for you, Ben. Off of the course, off of Balboa Park, as someone who went to Foot Locker last year, what's one thing you're looking forward to the most outside of the course?
Dude, I was playing some ping pong and I was kind of getting cooked. So I've dabbled in some more ping pong lately. I've I've uh I've increased my ping pong capabilities a little bit, so I'm hoping they have another ping pong table so I can have redemption.
There we go. Ben, really appreciate you sharing so many insights and wisdom from your really successful career. It was really fun to get deeper insight to the incredible success you've had, but specifically recently, it's so deserved after hearing about your insane work ethic and dedication and craft to the sport. So keep up the great work. Excited
Thank
for you, cheering you on, and excited to see you aim for history December 14th next month.
thank you.